No, I don't know whether plug that in the other way. Oh no, it just did that. It did that. Now my cat's injured. I have to call 911. I can't call 911 in my town because my neighbor would show up. Yeah, it's all volunteer here, and I can't stand that motherfucker. Most judgmental dickhead I've ever met, and his wife is a douchebag that he wears like a sissy fanny pack. Yeah, they walk together, and if there's a leaf in their yard, Jesus Christ, on a cross, it's all over. It's all over if there's a leaf in the yard. Fucking assholes. If that's all you have to live for, is your perfect lawn, you have failed at life. Know that, neighbor. Know that. And if I call 911, don't show up, bitch. Because I'll beat you with my joystick. You will not make it in the door. I'd rather die. No, sir. Won't have him working on me. I wouldn't even have him put out a fire at my house. I'd think he'd probably use gasoline. Goddamn bastard. But I'm not going to hate on him anymore. So I was watching the video series today, and I would like to share this with you. For those of you that do not know, there is a web page, and it is the Truth on Tap Facebook page. It's really the only page I use because I don't really get into the marketing thing that much. I probably should. Maybe I will eventually. But I've been doing this for, I don't know, a year and a half, and I haven't found motivation yet, so I don't see any reason to improve now. Having said that, on this page, I shared a video, which leads to the video, but also 6 others in the series. And it's all about conspiracy theorists regarding 9/11. Now, I'm not going to go attack conspiracy theorists today. I've done that on several previous shows. But I was reminded in the 6th video about the psychology of a typical conspiracy theorist. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. I'm not going to do a long show tonight. First thing I'm going to do is share the link in the chat room. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the psychology. Guy says in the chat room he's leaking. And I believe I'm looking at a vagina, but it could be something else. It's a small picture. I'm not entirely sure it's not a Mr. Potato Head. Gosh, you could do the Rorschach thing there. Is that like Cleveland Brown? I don't know. You gotta guess. We guess a lot in this world, but you also have to recognize you're guessing. Yeah. Watch these videos, please. And if you don't want to listen to anything else in this show, and you're coming in right now and going, look, Kev, what do you mean Kev jumps the dummies again? What are you talking about? Just give me the meat of the whole program. The meat of the whole program is I would like you, if you have not yet, to learn critical thinking. When you learn critical thinking, you will then look at any conspiracy theory that you may have believed in the past, and chances are you're going to stop believing in it once you learn critical thinking. There's probably 5 or 10% of them out there that still deserve some of your attention. Most of them not so much. There's a mountain of evidence on the left hand, and over on the right hand we find 6 ounces of anomalies. And the conspiracy theorist jumps over to the hand with the 6 ounces of anomalies and says, there's my theory. That's really summed up what it looks like to the logical thinking scientific mind. And conspiracy theorists are killing us right now. And I was listening to them talk about the psychology of some of these people. There are a few things you guys are already familiar with. I know my listeners are familiar with confirmation bias. That's one of the buzz terms kind of going around, but it needs to be understood. If you understand this stuff and you didn't before, you've got a huge jump on the person you were 2 days ago. So this is worth your time. You have to learn typical confirmation bias types of errors and logical fallacies. And one of the things this guy that I shared in the video, one of the things the psychology guy in there, I mean, he looked about 12 years old, but he knew his business because I majored in psych and I can at least tell when someone's bullshitting. I didn't get to the PhD level, but I got close. He basically was talking about how a person who joins a group, a movement, understand that becomes part of their identity. They're now one of them. They're a protester, or they're a police officer, or they're a truther. Once you bring up into question that group's behavior or correct knowledge about things in that group that they propose to be correct about, they take that as an identity attack. This is the average person, not the intelligent person. This is the average person that has jumped on some bandwagon. Confirmation bias. What they're doing is they're going to use a little bit of cognitive dissonance and a little bit of ignorance and a little bit of information, and they're going to put it in a mixing bowl and mix it all up. And what's going to come out is if you've challenged me, and I'm part of this bandwagon, whatever it is, in this case it's 9/11 conspiracy theorists, then you've attacked my whole group, and you've attacked my identity. This is where the not-so-smart person goes wrong. The smart person says, you know what, I believe 9/11 was an inside job. Well, the smart person can't say that, but let me rephrase that. The more intelligent conspiracy theorist, it sounds sort of like an oxymoron, I know, it is going to look at things and say, all right, I've seen this set of data, and I've seen this set of data, and these data were more impressive. Therefore, I'm going to be on the side of the conspiracy theorist in this case. However, I remain open to all facts and evidence, especially reputable sources of evidence on this issue. And if you remain open to that, just like on climate change, you are going to know the truth. The real truth. The truth that scientists discover in labs, not the truth that political pundits share on their radio shows or their TV shows, which are really just small weapons used to bang at people they're angry at. That's really what it's about, isn't it? Arming up. You go out and seek information to arm up. You go out and cherry pick to serve your cause. You pick your story, you pick your headline, you pick your motive, and then you attack. When the wise person looks around and says, what is the evidence to support this, that, or the other? And what you should be doing, unless I'm fucking totally wrong and have somehow been brainwashed by science, what you should be doing is tossing out the information that does not have good, credible sources, even if it may sound kind of intriguing. Once you're done looking into it, if you don't have any source, fucking toss it out. Go with what you know. Go with what you know. And what you know should be something you can prove. If it's a faith issue, I'm not arguing with you about that, because you cannot argue faith with people. It just doesn't work. But if it's a science issue, I am so motherfucking sick of hearing some 9/11 truthers talk about thermite. Jesus Christ, the thermite discussion. It's the dumbest goddamn scientific discussion you will ever hear once you understand the science. World Trade Center 7. That's what they do. They pull it out like it's a goddamn NAACP card, and they're a black dude in Mississippi or something, and they want secret shelter. What? What World Trade Center 7? What about it? It fell down. Yeah, it did. So did about 7 other buildings surrounding the towers. What's your point? Well, it came down straight, just like the World Trade Center did. Yeah, it did. And it was on fire, remember? Are we seeing a pattern here? Wait a minute, are you telling me that fire can not only weaken the beams in one building, but can also weaken the beams in another building? That's not possible. Is that possible? Wait a minute, that's not. No, is it possible? Maybe it is. I better go read some more, I'll get back to you. And when they get back to you, they don't actually get back to you because they're embarrassed that they believe in some dumb shit, and I've set another one straight. And that's what this video series does for those who may believe that 9/11 was an inside job. Don't think that our government's not capable of it. They are. They are. The military-industrial complex is capable of it, but this was not an inside job. Neither were the Boston bombings. Sorry. I wish that it was, if that's what you want it to be. I wish that I could satisfy your need to have a boogeyman under your bed than to have a boogeyman outside your bedroom door. Because that's where the real boogeyman is. Your government is not trying to undermine you at every turn. They're going to try to get some money out of you. They're going to try to keep some control over you. That's about where they stop. Yeah, they're not interested in fucking attacking us so that we can beef up one industry over another one. Because you know the money that went into the 9/11 reconstruction project, if you will, that basically focused on defense? That same amount of money would have been spent on other things in America. And the same amount of taxes would have been paid. So, would the military-industrial complex have gained from 9/11 by creating it and executing it with their tens of thousands of cohorts? Yeah, they would have gained, sure. But who would have gained if 9/11 didn't happen? The entertainment industry. How about movie theaters? Nobody was going to movie theaters for a couple years after 9/11. I place equally as much blame on movie theaters for not preventing 9/11 as I do on the military-industrial complex for causing it. It was 19 extremists from fucking Saudi Arabia that have been planning this for years, and they did it. And I don't know why you want that to be a different answer. Because when you do that, you're not only setting aside the extremely important issue of Muslim extremist terrorists that are a real threat to America, but you're doing a disservice and a dishonor to those who have passed, those who died on that day, those who died trying to save them, and the families of those that died. So how about being truthful? How about digging a little? How about walking up to a conspiracy theorist and instead of giggling and shaking your head and walking away saying, you know what, you're full of shit. Let me see your evidence. Because they never have it. They never have it. They'll say something like, well, there was a peer-reviewed paper. There was a peer-reviewed paper. Do you realize if I send a paper to Guy Shade of Night and he looks over it, it's peer-reviewed? So don't do that. Don't do that. Show me the paper. Show me the source. Who is it? What's their credibility? What's their history? The paper that reviewed this one scientist's findings about thermite and nanothermite, the same motherfucking publication accepted a paper after that of randomly generated text. There's your mark. There's your high water mark. I could grab text off the internet, rearrange it, put it on 10 pages of paper and send it to this paper, and they would publish it as a scientifically peer-reviewed article in a scientifically peer-reviewed journal, and they've got their scientifically peer-reviewed heads straight up their scientifically peer-reviewed asses, and they're dripping just like Guy. Trust your source because your source has earned your trust, not because there's some scientific journal. Now, confirmation bias wasn't the only thing I wanted to talk about tonight. Nor do I want to just pick on conspiracy theorists who need to be fucking under full assault because they're costing us lots of money and lives now with this immunization bullshit. All right? These things start, they spread like wildfire, and it's so primitive. It is so primitive, humans. Can we make the next step now? I say we walk away from that primitive behavior. I say we require good evidence now to change our beliefs. I'm not talking about issues of faith because people of faith cannot be reasoned with. I'm talking about issues that can be proven or disproven. Someone tells you this is peer-reviewed, you don't just say, wow, that's impressive. You say, who fucking peer-reviewed it? Show me. What's their record? Look it up. It takes 30 seconds on a Google search. And the next thing you know, you're uncovering real truth, not proposed truth that you just accept because you didn't feel like fucking checking on it. What else was I going to talk about? As soon as I can get a lighter to work, I'll let you know. My Capitals won. Beat the filthy Flyers tonight. Good thing. 1-0. Braden Holtby gets the shutout. Thank you. He has won 19 of his last 20, I think. And the Caps are now within 2 points, and that's one win away from first place in the Metro Division, right behind Pittsburgh and Cindy Kreisboy, the little douchebag. I do have a confession to make. Cindy Kreisboy is my sister. We lied so he could get into the NHL, or she, depending on how you want to look at it. Definitely has a vagina. Definitely a vagina and titties kind of guy. And we did remove the titties, but the vagina, I mean, what are you going to do? It's, it's concave. There's no, I mean, we could have done clitoral mutilation, but what was the point? I mean, it was just, so he wears a strap on in the locker room to appear to have, the kind of stuff a guy would typically have, but nah, he's a girl. And he should just play, female hockey, but nah, he wanted to play with the big boys, so now he's all mad because he's only scored 4 goals in his last 20 games. But his lips are bigger, if you notice, especially around ovulation time. Let's see what you fuckers are saying in the chat. Logical fallacies in the art of debate. That's an EDU. What's the one I like critical-thinking.org. I'm not going to share that right now. There was one I really liked here. Oh, I like this one, the Skeptic's Guide. The skeptics are a bit hardcore. They're a little bit asshole-ish, so I don't like them for that, because you can entertain. If someone comes up to me with a 9/11 conspiracy theory, I don't say, get the fuck out of here. I say, what do you got? And they don't say, what do you got? They say, get the fuck out of here. But I guess it's because they see so much dumb shit. And you eventually get